Pay's checkout is offered by your banks and credit unions. So when you shop online at participating merchants, your cards appear in one place. Pay's. It checks out. Activation required. See Pays.com to learn more. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See Fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
All right. This ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the MisFitNation. Yeah! In a room, built from boots on the ground, now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound, turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Authors with truth, musicians with fire, actors backstage chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back, if you fell to your knees but you stayed on track, this is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the MisFit Nation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up. This is our song. Yeah. This is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chains, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed. That's the MisFit way. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. It's Aubrey right now. We're the more than you know. Don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We're the MisFit Nation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the MisFit Nation. Every voice is fabrication. From the silence to the scream, we're strong. Welcome home. You belong.
All right. Welcome back. And on Thursday after dinner edition, I hope you had a great week so far. Tuesday was a great show for the boys. They put on a great effort. I had a great interview. Check that one out. But tonight, we're honored to welcome a man whose story has inspired millions around the world. Keni Thomas served as a United States Army Ranger with the 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, and fought during the Battle of Mogadishu, a mission forever remembered through the best-selling book and blockbuster film, Black Hawk Down. For his actions in service, he received the Bronze Star with Valor and was later inducted into the Ranger Hall of Fame. But his story did not end on the battlefield. After leaving the Army, he built a successful career in country music, became an Emmy-winning producer, best-selling author, founder of Downrange Advanced Leadership, and a globally sought-after speaker, helping leaders understand what it truly means to serve others. His message of courage, accountability, teamwork, and servant leadership has impacted organizations, businesses, veterans, and communities across the world. So please, without further ado, let me help me welcome Keni Thomas to the MisFit Nation. Welcome, Keni.
Dude, I love your title song. If you're still breathing, you belong. Freaking great line, man.
Thank you.
I've used that. I say I'm still breathing, and I'm just happy to be here, Sarge. You know, that's a fact right there, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Rich.
Thanks for saying yes when I emailed you, and thanks to Eric Chris for putting us together. So he's a great dude, and he's been like a closet, I guess, assistant to me here, getting me great guests, and you're the next in the line. So he's an awesome dude.
Well, yeah, and then it won't stop, because then I'll start sending you folks, because we all know somebody, you know.
That's right. Thank you. I'll appreciate that, and I'll just put your name on my hero wall behind me here. So that'd be good. We're building a hero wall behind us with patches of people who served or people who served our communities through first responding. That's the 2 patches on there now from Wisconsin, 2 police forces in Wisconsin right now, and of course my crap over there. So.
And all your stuff.
Yeah,
and we have to be really careful about all the stuff that we collect. I was just talking about like, what do you put? One of my buddies, I was talking to him last night, and he's like, yeah, he showed me a closet. It was like full of plaques and coins, and it like General Miller yesterday. I was at the Hall of Fame induction in Fort Benning, and Scott Miller, he was in Task Force Ranger with us as well. He was a Delta Force captain at the time, and Scott Miller went on to be a 4-star general, and he shut down Afghanistan, ran all of SOCOM, and they gave him his big plaque for making in the Hall of Fame. And he looks at it and he goes, what am I gonna do with this? And like, well, that's yours, sir. And he's like, well, I took a commercial flight. I can't really carry it. And he looks at me, and I'm like, sir, you want me to take that thing home and put it? I'll mail it to you. And he goes, would you do that for me? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then we just start talking about it. He goes, I have no more wall space. I got, you know, we all stuff.
Yes. And we just accumulated over the years. And
yep. But I love that the 2 of us, as you can tell, I will start rabbit holing. So keep me on track, Rich. But right. I love that you and I, out of all the things we could display, we find it important to put our flag up there. So I love that. Yep.
And that one, that's the one that was flying when I got wounded in Afghanistan. So I keep that right there. I used to be underneath my TV. Now I proudly display it on this beautiful table.
Yeah, there you go, man. It's because it's got a story to it, and people, right. Hey, why do you have that? Well, it was when I was wounded, and you were wounded. Tell me about that. What happened? And then you can start. Then it opens up the door. You start talking.
Then that rabbit hole opens, and you're there for a while, and you see jaws drop. Like, oh, I went too far. Let me come back. Let me reel them back in, make them happy again.
Yeah. You learn. You learn to. I think with me, what I saw with the guys, or a lot of the guys that I saw yesterday that I hadn't seen in a long time, is a lot of them don't have a chance to do what you and I do, which is talk about it. We tend to find the positive side of it. On the other side of the boom, what do you do with that? Like, how do you take that I call it terrible knowledge? How do you take that terrible knowledge and use it for the betterment, the greater good of the organization, all the people around us? And a lot of the guys I saw yesterday, you could tell hadn't had that opportunity. They don't have a microphone. They don't stand, and it was somewhat still dark for them. And so I had to step back and offer. I had to have a lot of grace for that, because I'm so used to telling the positive sides of these stories that I also forget. Yeah, it comes at a cost, right? So.
Sure does. And speaking of that cost, if you want to tell a little bit of the backstory to bring the audience up to date, knowing that you were on the ground there, and the documentary came out, I think last year or this year, actually, the Surviving Black Hawk Down documentary. And in that documentary, I can tell the guys that they talked to in that, they had not talked a lot about it before that.
And that was the idea, Rich. Absolutely. So they called a couple of us up that are always on the documentaries. And like Jeff Struker and myself, and both of us were like, hey, I think you would do better if you talk to some of the guys who have never had a chance, because what you're looking for is more the raw emotional. And, you know, Brad Thomas, like his description of just like carnage. You know, I wouldn't have said it that way because it's just not in my dialogue of what I normally do. But he was so raw, and you were right. Like they hadn't talked, and then like Deemer talking about, and then Randy Ramalya, you know, like they had the perfect setting for him. Freaking, and Randy went on, did a full career as a first responder, but you know, he still looks like a freaking scary ass biker dude, you know, and like
100%.
They did a really great job with that. And I think what they're going to try and do now is move forward with sort of like a Black Hawk Down diaries, where they're going to open up to all kinds of stories. And, but yeah, there's a lot of guys and girls that still haven't had a chance, right. You know, and that's one of the things that you and I do very well. We're always encouraging veterans to tell their story. Even if you don't think it matters, right. Then don't talk about you. Talk about the guys that were on your left and your right, because it matters to them. Yeah. So, all right. Anyways.
And especially the guys and gals that didn't make it back. Keep saying their names. Share the stories of them so that maybe their families hear it and embrace their story and say,
yep,
that was my one. And
yep, absolutely.
Back to you, though. Let's talk about any Sergeant Keni Thomas on the ground.
That's your job. You got to wrangle me in, Rich. So you want to talk about Task Force Ranger, or why we were in Mogadishu, kind of give you a background? Or
let's talk a little bit about what led you to service, and then the Rangers specifically, and then we'll hit Mogadishu.
Oh, yeah, that one's easy. I think the stats, like 92% of the people who raise their hand and serve in the military had family before them that served. It's not always your dad, right. But it is family. And so it's a family business. It's the same names throughout history are serving. So you have this whole warrior mindset. I never really grew up with my dad. They got divorced after the Vietnam War. Like, it was too much for, you know, a 27-year-old after 3 deployments, and a 24-year-old girl. Like, they had this little boy, and they didn't know how to be married, much less be married. So I never really grew up with him, but I always respected that he had served as a Ranger. And I didn't quite know what it was, but I knew it was this culture of something that they took a lot of pride in. And I think throughout school, and then high school, and then even I went to college, and it was always the professors and teachers that had served that I felt there was a different level of respect for, and I didn't quite know why. And then the first Gulf War started, and I joined up, and that turns out it was the right move for me, and it was a good place. How I ended up in the Rangers was not at all where I thought I was going to be. I went in to go fly. I grew up, I was a kid of the 80s. I was a little kid in the 80s, and I grew up, I probably watched Top Gun 9 times, right? Yeah. So when I grew up, I wanted to be Maverick. And so when my time came in the 90s and I hit my 20s, that's what I wanted to do. But I hadn't gone to any of the academies. I didn't know anything about. So I went into the Army to go fly helicopters. And they had this long waiting list for flight school. And the recruiter didn't tell you about that part of it. You're like, a waiting list? And, you know, you're 22. There's no way you're going to wait for a year for your life to start. And so I went over to the Navy, and I'm going to go be a SEAL. And the Navy recruiter was the wrong dude for me. You know, he was like, this guy here, Rich. Well, you know, I don't know why you want to go be a Navy SEAL anyway. Those guys is crazy, you know. And I'm like, oh God. So, and then I went over to, I asked the guy, the same dude who had helped me get the flight packet in, I said, what are the Rangers like? And he goes, it's a weird contract, but I can get you there. And that's how I ended up.
Wow.
In the Ranger Regiment. Yeah. It's fun. Like, it's all backwards. They ask a 20-year-old to go figure out what his life's going to be when he has zero idea of how life works, right?
Everything's what you've seen on the TV, the movie screen.
Yeah, Maverick. Yeah. So, and that's how I ended up in there. And it was, Mogadishu hit in 93. So I'd been an E5 for about a year. So I'd been a team leader for about a year and was, so I went over there as an NCO, and the things that I learned from that battle about like the idea of just simply the very basics, Rich. Like, so if the Ranger motto is Rangers lead the way, they never told you it was a rank. So it didn't come down to like what, your E5, E6, E7, whatever. They were really clear. Like they defined it as, it is the example we are setting for the people we serve. And so, okay, so you say, well, what example am I setting? And that standard's very high. So the standard was always there. So you were always aware of what example you were being asked to set. And then especially as an NCO in the Ranger Regiment. And then they're like, who are you serving? And it was always, the answer was us, your Ranger buddies. You and I, Rich and I don't have to be the best of buddies, but by God, I made a promise and I'm going to be there for them. And thank you. And that's what we kind of live that. And I saw it in Mogadishu where you had a unit full of guys. Remember, most of Task Force Ranger, Rich, like people don't get this. Most of that 135 guys are level 1 PFCs.
Wow.
You think about that, because your team is what, 4 privates,
yep,
and then or maybe a specialist that's tabbed out that went to Ranger school, and then you got an E5 sergeant. That was it. Like, so the bulk of the battle was there were Delta Force guys and there were Ranger NCOs in the fight, but the bulk of that battle was PFC level 1 soldiers. And the admiration and the respect that I have, like, that's where I learned that it absolutely has zero to do with rank. It was a mindset, just like you guys, we talk about it, mindset, leadership, the MisFitNation is pushing that. It was their mindset was like, I take responsibility for my own actions. I make decisions. I might make a poor decision. I always called it a great initiative, poor judgment. But no one waited around to be told what to do. And if you can imagine having a unit full of everybody, we're just gonna make it happen. And I don't care if it's I'm the last man standing. I'm gonna freaking hold this bridge. So I just had such a respect for the young guys.
I think I've seen a statistic. I think the average age was maybe 19 of most of those in the fight. 19, maybe 20-ish for most.
About I would say 20. I had one 19-year-old. Floyd had been with us for about almost a year.
Wow.
But those are the guys. In the middle of it, you're not thinking, oh man, I hope this kid holds up. Like you're just counting on him. You expect them to, and you tell them, hey man, take care of these 2 dudes. I can't be here to look after you. I got to go run down, check on this, or I got to go do that. Hold the line, take care of each other. And I'm putting that weight on your shoulders. And they accepted it and took it. And, by the grace of God, most of us made it out of there.
There's everyone knows the movie. Everyone knows Mark Ballin's editorial in the Philadelphia Inquirer that's turned into the book, into the movie. But they never really talked to you guys. We've seen the Hollywood version of it. We've seen the book of it, and just getting to sit and talk with you now. I talked to Tom Statterly, I think 2 years ago on here, Delta guy, and he didn't talk about that at all. He talked about things after that. And he talked, I think, a little bit about Desert Storm, but nothing about Mogadishu. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, wow, he never talked about it here, but then he got other shows, and I seen him on the documentaries. Man, he could have really hit the home run here and told me some more about it. But didn't. And that's why when Eric said, I know Keni Thomas, I said, wow. Yeah, it'd be awesome to have him on here just to share some of what you learned there as a man, as a leader, to bring forward.
Yeah, what do you learn from it? And on the leadership side, when I stand in front of audiences, I'm in front of an audience every week at some point talking, doing some sort of motivational or coaching. And it's always, you dumb it down. You make it so simple for people that it's leadership 101. It's stuff that all of us that have worn the boots took for granted. Like all the PLDC, BNOC, ANOC, the first Sergeant's Major Academy, all the places that they sent us for leadership development, we took that for granted. It was just there it was. They don't do that out here.
No.
And companies are succeeding in spite of themselves. Like, it's crazy. I go, can you imagine how much more proficient and efficient and productive you guys would be if you taught your middle people how to lead their peers? Because leading your peers is very hard, and it's not a skill set. The way that it works out here is, okay, well, we trained you on this skill set. We hired you to do this certain job, do your job. And then about 2 years, 3 years later, okay, you did really good at that job. We're going to put you in charge of the other 6 people in your department. And they're like, okay, great, I got promoted. And they have no idea how to lead that department. So what they end up doing is they stick their hands back in the mix and let me show you how to work the IT thing. Let me show you. No. That's not your job now. Your job is to lead. And there's a skill set to that. And so you have to dumb it down. And what you tell people is, okay, let's all agree on a definition of leadership. The military manual says it's the purpose, direction, and motivation for the greater good of the organization, right? But what I want you to see is it's the example you are setting for the people that you are serving, because you have to go into it with a servant leader mindset. And if they go, well, what's your advice? It's always take care of your people, because team building is trust building. And as soon as they start trusting you, then they'll start doing difficult things that you want them to do. But they're not going to do it if they don't trust you, they don't think you care about them. Like, take care of them. And I learned all of that as a young sergeant starting out in the Ranger Regiment. And then what I learned about the capabilities of men on your left and your right and why they do these extraordinary deeds was so much more simple than what most people understand. It isn't the flag, and it's not for freedom, and it's not. No soldier ever said, hey, what are you fighting for? Well, I'm fighting against ISIS. I'm fighting against Al-Qaeda. I'm fighting against Taliban. I'm fighting against the spread of global terrorism. My dad never said I was fighting against the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. All you fight for is each other. That's it. It's so simple. And if you can dumb it down to people and you can get them to understand, oh my God, like, it's so core. It's why we're all so passionate about keeping that message going. It's because we're here for each other. And if that is, and each other is enough. I guess that's what I should probably end that thought process on. Each other is enough. If that's what you believe and you've been told and you've been telling each other that, if your culture doesn't tell you that, then it means nothing to you. But for us, that was what everything was about. As a unit, we were focused on a mission, complete discipline, laser focused on the mission. But really at the end, why we were doing all of this was for each other.
Definitely. And that's something that, like you said before, the corporate world doesn't teach you that. The corporate world teaches this and up. You got to look for me and up. We think external and out. External. And outward.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. External and outward. Yep. And it's, this is, so for everybody that's watching and nodding their head and going, yeah, the man, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, but we give him grace because we never had to worry. And this hit me like about 3 or 4 years ago. I was talking to a guy he was a Naval Academy grad. He was running charter communications Spectrum, like Spectrum Mobile. He's the guy who runs it. Oh, and wow. We were talking and he goes, the thing of it is, Kenny, is when we were in uniform, we were always mission focused. We were always leadership development, but we never had to worry about making money. And that's a big deal out here. Like, how do you walk that balance? And because a lot of your HR people see leadership development as a cost. It's not. So how do if you can figure out how to quantify it, then more businesses would buy into it, but they can't. The people who are working HR that implement the leadership training programs, they don't have a leadership mindset. And so they don't understand the value of it. And it's just a costing. So it's very gratuitous. Yeah, we got to do something. And they train to time, not to standard. You know, hey, we got to do a little bit of leadership development to check the box. So we'll bring in so-and-so. And they don't stick with it. It doesn't become part of their culture. So I give them grace. I get it, you know. And again, I see some amazing companies doing some amazing things despite themselves. I'm like, man, golly, if you guys could imagine what you could do if you could, you know, get task oriented and mission focused and start mission people me, you know, like that kind of thing.
I think that hits the nail on the head for a lot of guys and gals when they get out of the military. They do that transition thing. They get that first job and they still want to work like we did in the military. But you get out there and this job has say a 40-hour billable rate. You have 40 hours to do this job. Don't try, and the veteran will try to do it in that one day, or maybe finish it in an hour and sit there just twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah.
And then they're looked at as like, oh, they're overachiever. They don't feel like they fit in, and they say, I got to leave this job and find something else, because that mindset is there that they have X amount of hours to do something. Let's take all of them. And we never did.
Right. Well, it's that the mindset is just get it done, make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Like don't wait around for someone to tell you to tell you how to do it or what. Just make it freaking make it happen. I need that beachhead taken. Roger, right. We'll figure it out. Like I need you to go get well, they said that the C-17 only holds, you know, 10 Humvees. I got to get 11 over there. I don't know, figure it out, make it happen. You know, and the dude freaking pulled the Humvees apart and put parts down the side and got 11 in there, you know, like, or whatever, like make it happen. And that's not a mindset that is easily cultivated out here.
And that test there is perfect when you have all those PFCs and specialists in the ranks. They will figure out how to get that 11th Humvee in there.
Yeah.
So that's their whole go-to. That's their wheelhouse. The sergeants, I got this mission. I have the right team to do this. My 4 guys will get this done. We'll just grab a coffee and it'll be done. All right, it's there. It's done. Because those 4 dudes will say, P4 Mafia and below, let's go. Let's knock this out. And somehow that 11th vehicle's in there, like you said, down the sides, and people are sitting on them instead of the cargo nets.
Yeah, that's right. Right. And that's just that little detail right there. And then they're sitting on the parts.
Yes.
Sitting on the cargo nets. Whereas on the other, you flip that out here in the row, the people go, well, where will we sit? I don't know.
Figure it out.
Figure that one out too. All right. Okay, wrangle me back. Get me back to however you want to do it with the story, and I'll talk about my guys, and we can find some lessons in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Once the chaos began, right after Blackburn fell, I guess that's when the chaos really started for you guys, when you got your first injured, and then the first Black Hawk goes down. How was the switch there in the head? How was that switch right there?
So the mission comes out. So just a quick background. So we were in town to get this guy a deed, and we had run 44 raids in the city and didn't have him. And as you know, as we all well know, when someone doesn't want to be found, they're hard to find. And so they knew how we operated. They knew how we did everything, but they had 2 guys. There were 2 HVTs that were in a building. And if we could get there in 10 minutes, we had a chance of knocking out 2 guys on the most wanted list. And so we go in, and the initial raid is a success. Like when you really think about it, so it's 3, we get the call at like 15:30. By 16 or 15, by 4:15, we're wrapping it up. Delta's coming out of the building. They've got the 2 HVTs were in there. Each HVT had 12 bodyguards, so there were 26 Muldoons total. So now let's start looking at like, and we already know this. You know, in any, if you take any kind of aviation accident report or any kind of after actions accident review of something, you'll see that it's a series of things that start happening. It's not one catastrophic event. And so what ends up happening is you were spot on. So Blackburn, Todd falls out of their berth. So hang on, and I'm going to see if I can get this on the camera for you. So if this is the target building, and basically this is all the info, the intel that we had, and it was funny, I always tell people out here in the real world, we're so inundated with information now on our phone that we all sit around waiting for more information. And I'm telling you, this is exactly what we were told. This is the target building. And that, that's north. So you're oriented to the map. So what ends up happening is the birds come in from the north like this, and they're going to imagine there's 16 aircraft. So 8 Blackhawks, 8 Little Birds, and they're all self-policing. There's no air traffic control. So these guys are coming in the middle of this, and all the Blackhawks were Super 6'1" through 6'8". So this is what ends up happening. So can you see that, Rich?
Oh yeah, we got it.
All right. So this is the southwest corner. So this is, look at you, buddy. Man. So this is my platoon. So this is 3. So chalk 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So chalk 4 is up north. And here's what ends up happening with chalk 4. The pilot in that bird was new to the mission. He had been flying the reconnaissance aircraft most of the missions. And so, but for some, and I can't remember why, but he got traded out. So he hadn't encountered the big brown dust monster yet. So what he ends up doing is he slows down a little bit and he loses contact with us. And he pulls up above to try and figure out where he's at. And he's a block short. And then as they start taking our RPG fire, and they try and move the bird forward. And that's right about when Todd was reaching for the rope. So Todd misses the rope. He's out 90 feet. This kid falls. Now, fortunately, he had a medic was right there. But here's where things start unraveling. So Todd needs a Humvee to medevac him out. And then you never send a Humvee by itself. So you sent one in the front, one in the back. So you had 3 of them drive away. There's 26 prisoners. And they're like, hey, there's no more room. They're sending another 5-ton for us. Hold what you got. We'll be out. That's coming in 5 minutes. And that was 5 minutes too long on target. And then, so Cliff Walcott and Bull Briley are in 6-1. And what they're doing is they're just orbiting around the target. And they get hit right over here, and they crash land to the northeast. And it's only about 5 blocks away. So now the whole mission's changed. Like, we were in a mindset of, we're done, we're getting out of here. I was watching the last Humvee drive away with the prisoners that's when the radio call comes. Hey, there's a Black Hawk going down. We all look up. And man, I can describe to you what we were all feeling, because you felt the same thing in life. Like, it's that same knot in your stomach. And we all say the same thing because your brain's trying to catch up with what your eyes and your ears are telling it. And it was like, I can't believe that's happening, because it's not supposed to happen. I think the difference, though, with us and the training that we've all had in the military, and that difficult, tough, realistic training, is that we're much quicker to come to realization, oh, okay, it is happening. And then now, how will I respond? And I'm very careful with what I go out and I try and tell the world. Like, I don't tell them, here's what you got to do. I don't sergeant major them. Here's what you got to do. Let me tell you what you got to do. Because I go back to the Army's be, do, and know model. Yep. It all starts with who you want to be. Because who you want to be is going to dictate what you're going to do. If who you want to be and who you already know you are is the guy who will never leave a fallen comrade to fall into the hands of the enemy, and you're very laser mission focused, and that you actually have contingencies in place for such scenarios where a helicopter has a malfunction, how will you secure the crash site? You immediately move into action. Like, you hear, I can't believe that's happening. And it's like, okay, but it is. And now there's people in trouble. The sooner you can come to grips with the fact that there's people in trouble, the sooner that's when you have the leadership decision to make. Like, who am I going to be? And that's going to dictate what you're going to do. But fortunately we had a plan in place. There had been a bird, and And I want to say it was 101st or 10th Mountain Bird. It was a Black Hawk that had gone down 2 weeks prior. And none of those guys, all those guys went home in body bags because they didn't have a real good plan. And we saw that and we're like, oh man, well that's not going to happen to our guys. So we're going to make sure that if they ever have a malfunction, that we got to be able to get to them fast. So here it is. And so there's 70 guys on the target building, Rich, and we got to move. Remember, let's say I'm oriented to my room. So that's north. So the bird goes down over here to the northeast. So we're going to make 3 blocks to the east, and then we're going to make a left-hand turn towards the north. So there's about 70 guys moving. And everybody that had been shooting at us out in the streets, it was now they sort of just stopped taking pot shots, and everyone was hauling ass for the crash. Like the whole city's running. So the plan is that the vehicles that had just driven away with the prisoners, they're actually heading that way. They should just stop it and meet us there. So we figured, okay, they're going to pick up the guys who survived the crash. And when we turn the corner, so my squad is the last squad to move off the target and turn that corner. And when we turn the corner, absolute chaos. Picture it, the bird is just off to the right, only about 2 blocks up. And I want you to think more like alleyways, not like blocks, city blocks. It isn't like the Iraqi streets were a little bit, a lot of bit wider than Mogadishu. So I'm going to say like, picture like alleys. So 2 blocks up off to the right, you got about 100 guys now fighting on both sides of the streets, and everyone was engaged. So long before they ever made a movie, we used to call that moment, that was Hollywood. Remember, it was like freaking Hollywood. And the little birds were doing gun runs over our head and just like on full, if you've ever been anywhere near a minigun when it goes off, much less 2 of them, and your casings are falling out of the sky. And I remember for me, I'm going, okay, why is this taking so long? And my platoon sergeant's trying to disseminate the information, and we kind of get a grip that Cliff Walcott, both the pilots died on impact. So they couldn't get Cliff's body out. So the guys that are having a tough time down there, we figure it's because they're in a firefight. But Cliff's body is crushed into the wreckage, so they can't get him out. So hold what you got. It's going to be 15 minutes. The vehicles are almost here, and then the first guy gets hit. And that's when it just shifted. The old idea of hold the line, and you got guys, we really did have guys spread every 5 meters because that was the best we could do. And then when you lose one guy, now you got a 10-meter gap. And I think about that. And then they told us, the historians told us from the aerial feed that it was a 10-to-1 ratio. We were outnumbered already. Now, I never saw 10 Yahoos running at me, but I did see twosies and threesies everywhere. And I felt like we could handle it up until, when people started getting hit. And it was a different level of reality. And if you've been in a combat situation and you've lost people, you get it. What I try and explain to people is how, and the best word I have for it, Rich, is the simplicity of it. The body just stops working, and the soul that was, and I don't know if you haven't bought in the idea there's a soul in the human body, I would say you've not been there when somebody dies, because I had never been there. But man, from here 5 meters away, I didn't need to check anybody's pulse. And 2 minutes ago, that guy was alive. I run back trying to go get a medevac squared away, and I come back, and Hooten's over there with his team guy, and I'm like, hey, can we move Earl out on foot? And Hooten goes, he's just married. No, man, Earl's gone. And I look over, I'm like, yeah, he's gone. And that was another wake-up call. He's like, that's the Pro Bowl all-star elite guy. He's not supposed to get shot and hit and die. And if it could happen to him, oh man, it could happen to me. And then that thing kicks in that most people will never understand except for us was, oh, maybe parents for their kids. But you go, oh, it could happen to my guys. And all of a sudden the mission it wasn't even about the crash site was a world away, and it was only, a football field down the road.
Wow.
It was about taking care of Floyd, Saransky, DeJesus, and Romalia, and the guys that were right around me. Like, that was my mission. And the first guy I went to was, Private Floyd, and looked at him, and I was like, hey, buddy, because he's looking over there at Earl Fillmore's body too, and he's thinking the same thing. I'm like, hey, I need you to take care of these two guys. You understand me? And look at me. You understand me? Because I got you. And he was super confident. I got you covered, Sergeant. It wasn't this moment like in a movie that they want you. And I get it. Like, the screenwriters and the script writers want it to be this traumatic moment, but it really was, for lack of a better term, you don't have time to feel that emotion. The emotion of like, oh, we've just lost somebody. There's not a trauma and a horror. Now, you will pack that away. And as you all know, and we all know, we have to unpack it at some point. And whether you unpack it in a healthy manner or an unhealthy manner, that's a choice and something we have to learn how to do. But in the moment, it just isn't. And it really just becomes, at this point, we are just fighting for each other. And I'm telling you, if you talk to those guys that were on the vehicles, like, I'm so glad I was where I was at. Like, if I'm going to be in that battle, at least I could shoot, move, and communicate. And at the very least, I could lay down behind a wall. Like, those guys were just out in the open all night. And so and the lesson on that one is to remember that, y'all, that the enemy always gets a vote. Like, we're Americans, and we're so good at underestimating enemies. we don't think anyone's as good as us, and they're not, but we underestimate them. And they have a plan. The enemy always gets a vote. Now, out here in the real world, the enemy is, hopefully there's no one shooting at you on your day-to-day job, except for the boys in blue, or some of the first responders get that in the urban areas. But what you're hoping is that the enemy is almost always out here complacency. We take for granted what's going on, and we start walking past the standard, and the standard that you walk past is the standard you accept, right? So we start getting complacent on our standards, and that enemy will creep in on you. I mean, it always has. So they finally, they push through at about 4 a.m. Now so to give you the numbers, Rich, there was 135 guys in the battle. And by the time it got dark, so probably about 10 p.m., we already had 78 were wounded and 18 ended up dying. And we lose Matt Rierson another day later. So you've only got like 35 guys left. There's a platoon size element, and it's just a hodgepodge. And who's the ranking Muldoon, or who's got, so the sergeant major of Delta is on the ground. And he says, all right, huddle up. Here's what here's the plan. We're so far out of contingencies that here's the 5 W's: who, what, why, when, and where. Who? It's us that's left. What? We're gonna exfil out of here. Where we go? Does everybody know where the soccer stadium is? Because if you do not know where the soccer stadium is, raise your hand, because you might be the last swing in Muldoon left, and I need you to get there. Okay, everybody knows. And then, when are we leaving? It's 4:50. We got to leave at 5:15 in the morning before the sun comes. What do you want, Sergeant Thomas? And I'm like, hey, Sergeant Major, why are we doing this? Like, why don't we just go over to the parade field and let the helicopters come get us? And he looks at me and he says, there's no more helicopters, Sergeant Thomas. And what I didn't know is, out of the 8 Blackhawks that went in on that mission, 5 were on the ground. 5. Like, history knows about the 2. 6'1" and 6. Mike Durant's birds, 6'4", were both on the ground almost simultaneously. But Stan Wood, my bird, 6'6", was on the ground. The 6'7", 6'8", that was the Cesar bird that went into the original crash and roped in those Rangers, he was on the ground. He took an RPG. And then 6'2", that went to go try and rescue and inserted Gary Gordon and Randy Shugart And then Brad Holling was on that bird. 6'2" took a rocket and crash landed at the man. They were so ready for us because they had been watching what we did for months, and they weren't as dumb as we might think. And so the time for helicopters is over. So that's when it became okay. Well, we're gonna run from the city, and I'm going, man, this place sucks. It sucks. And I could have ran out of here last night. It's like, why did I gotta wait till the morning? And by the grace of God, all of us ran out, made it out. But to lift up my boy, there was a moment in there where you could feel the panic. Like when the suck meter starts tacking, people will start making mistakes. And the reason special operations are as good as they are is because we do the basics well all the time. But we were so out of our element. We had no cover. We had no concealment. We had little birds, and man, we wouldn't be alive without those guys. But you had Delta guys running with level 1 privates, and everybody's, there's kind of this hodgepodge, and people start making mistakes. And at some point we get stacked up on this intersection because the captain had stopped, and he's got radios in both ears, and there's nobody on the other side pulling security for him. And we all start focusing on the blinking light. Like we're yelling at the captain, sir, you got to move across, man. And nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is freaking pulling security. Who's looking around? And then over my shoulder, Sergeant Thomas, go. Freaking Private David Floyd. And he saw what none of us saw. Some dude had stepped out of an alleyway with an RPG aimed right at us. And I don't know if David hit the guy, but we sorted that out pretty quickly. But I don't know if David hit him or not. But the guy got the rocket shot off, and it goes, woof. And I remember looking at the rocket and looking back at Floyd, and I always thought, I wish I had something leaderish to say. And I was like, "Good shot, Floyd." And he's like, "Roger that, Sergeant." And he runs over, and he almost looks back and goes, "You guys are clear now." Like, as if to say, I don't know what you yuck nuts were doing, but you certainly weren't doing what you should have been doing. But it woke everybody up, and we got to the first rally point, and the sergeant major he saw what was going on, and he gets everybody. He goes, "Everybody, hey, we're all hunkered down behind this little walls." It was like a outside area of like a garage, where they change tires for a garage or something. We were all kind of hunkered down behind this wall. And he says, "Hey, everybody take a breath, slow down," which, you might think running for your life. He might say, "Hey, Sergeant Thomas, start keeping up," or hey, fat guy, keep up, whatever. Like slow down, because what do we all know? Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Slow it down, you make less mistakes. And that's when we started moving a lot more smoothly and tactically, and we all made it back and out of that run. So, and then I always forget to say that all of my guys made it, and out of all the chalks that went in, Sergeant Watson, who I got to see yesterday at Fort Benning, Sean T. Watson, his was the only chalk that brought back everybody. And there's something to be said for that. Wow. That guy was a great leader. Yeah.
Pat on the back right there. And
yep.
Those stats don't get put in the books because it.
No, and that was what I loved about getting to talk to him on a first name basis yesterday. And just telling him, there's some moments in that battle, and some things that you said and that you did that have stayed with me in my leadership journey for life, Sean. And the simple fact, I don't even know if you know this, but you're the only chalk leader that brought everybody back. Like, you don't have to live with guilt that all the other ones do. And it's funny. He's got like hippie hair now, and he works for the VA. But he's still tell you something. I uphold the standard, right? Still my platoon sergeant.
Heck yeah. He's still fired up.
He's definitely fired up.
We got a few questions popped in while you were talking there. So this one, I think, lines right up with that one. So at Shame on You said, looking back more than 30 years later, what leadership lesson from Mogadishu has become even more important this time? Thank you, Shame on You.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to stay with it's a constant vigilance to set the example. And, you know, I would love to tell you that I am a walking poster child of the Ranger Creed. And I mean, I'm not. I'm trying to make my vision board. There's like 15 traits in what a leader ought to be, right? And that we are all told there's 15 traits of what a leader ought to do. And I picked 2 this year to work on. You know, I'm really working on my faith. You know, I had to write a couple write-ins. Okay, well, these weren't in the Ranger handbook, but it was faith and in my my character development as just a person of integrity. And when you are intentional about that leadership lesson, how do I set the example in the service of others? That is my gig. It's not about me. And if I can be aware of that in those moments, I generally will default to being a really good listener. I'll default to being a better example. I'll default to, okay, how should I be parenting this moment? Or what should I be saying to the kids that I'm coaching? Or when I've got this person coming to me in a workshop and you do it, I do it. I already know the answer to the question they're asking. And you just want to like, okay, here, let me tell you what you got to do. But okay, your job is to be a leader and I want to be a better listener. So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to listen and then I'm going to be a better communicator. So, all right. So what I'm hearing you say is you're having a challenge with getting people to take responsibility for their part in the greater good of the organization. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Okay. Well, that's a tough one. That's a leadership challenge. And what are you doing to develop your leaders? And I just, at 30 years later, y'all, across the board, yesterday I sat there at Fort Benning at Building 4 and I watched the class of 2026 Hall of Fame induction. Every single one of those guys in their speech, in their little 6-minute speech, said something about, I'm here in the service of others. And I'm here for the people on my left and my right, that horizontal, what can I do to better? And it has been my privilege to hold the line. At some point, they've all said that. I think that's what I take with me now. It's that leadership. Okay, we have a responsibility. People look at us differently. They may not tell us, and most of them just because they don't know they don't know how to say it. So most people just don't say anything, like because no one ever taught them what you're supposed to say, and so they don't. But they look at us differently, and they don't understand the level of responsibility and the lives that were on the line, and the men and the mission and the equipment that we were responsible for. And you can't beat your chest and tell them, do you know what I used to do? I was Halo Scuba, damn it. You know, like I used to I tell my kids, hey, I used to be a badass. How did I end up with like, I got rabbit ears on my head and I'm playing with Barbies. How'd that happen? Right. You know, but that's being the leader that I want to be. Like, how am I setting that example? And I think that's the lesson is if you stay focused on it, don't get complacent about continually developing your character and your fundamentals. Then you're more cognizant and you're more likely to treat the lady at Southwest Airlines who tells you that you can't get on the flight. You're going to treat her more respectfully instead of just yelling like I used to do. You know, I used to go 0 to 60. Figure if I yelled more loudly, things would happen more quickly, right? But it's a great question, man. But it's the simple answer is I try to set the example because I saw at the simplest level that the only thing you really fight for, the only thing that really matters is each other. That's it. Exactly. And when you've been so close to, like, a lot of the guys, and I had this, the guys that went on when we started working with the teams and stuff, we've been so close to, without sounding movie-ish, you've seen death so much that you have a very healthy respect for it, but you also see it for its simplistic matter-of-factness. It's like, man, as badass as we are, it could be gone like that. And then where's the fallout? It's the people that get left. It's not Earl Fillmore who's had a hard time. Earl's soul went somewhere. Hopefully his soul's with Jesus and he's good to go. But it's the family and it's the friends and it's the gap that's created, and there's where the fallout is. So how do we step in and help with that? And I think that's why you see so many of us at part of these veteran organizations and these Gold Star events and all these things that we do, because we're trying to fill that gap, because we know, we were there when the guy was gone. Yeah.
Exactly. And like you said earlier, with the soul, you can see the soul leave the body, and when it happens.
Yep.
And when you see it too much, it just becomes almost like a scab. So you see it, you pull the scab off, another one happens. And for you guys that day, 18 guys you lost that day, and then the battles that most of them had to fight along the way after, because they didn't get to share the story like we talked about earlier. And then, of course, everyone else that went to Kuwait 8 years after that, and for 20 years following, that didn't want to tell their story because maybe they didn't think it was important. And that's that battle they're all in now, and why we go to those organizations and maybe speak up and get them on the show like this to share their story, because it helps to share your story and breathe a little more after that.
Absolutely. One, it helps you. It
Right.
gets it out of you. And two, it's a service to the people you served with. And the world needs to know. One of my instructors at the Downrange Leadership Academy is not one of them. They're all Delta guys, but one of them, Jeff, has this. He's got this amazingly powerful story that he tells about how he's just so matter of fact about death. I mean, he's 20 years of operating in it, and he tells this story of that, how I would say, because if I told you I was getting numb to it, that would mean that it was a painful thing, because because at some point it stopped being a painful thing. It just kind of became, that's the way it is. It's life on earth. It's sort of, because we were so close to it all the time, and we saw more of it than most people do. He goes, but he would tell you that he could almost, there were times where he was turning around to triage somebody and he felt it. He felt the guy's soul leaving, and he turned to look, and the guy's gone. Isn't that crazy? Because that's why he said, I don't like to say I was desensitized to it, because I was uber sensitive to it, but it was more matter of fact. Okay, like you've got a cold. Okay, well, this guy's his body's going to stop working any second now, and so it's a very deep conversation that I'm not as well versed at it as Jeff is, but it's fascinating that when you get into how long we were in Afghanistan and Iraq, and now you're 10 years removed. And that's generally, it took me about 10 years to figure out how to tell the story without it wearing out my heart, how to tell it from a 10,000 foot view where I was telling a story of positivity about the guys. And I think it's been about 10 years. It's time. And I'll tell you, and I'll challenge any of y'all that are out there listening. If you're not telling your story, I think you're doing a disservice to the men and women that you served with. If you don't want to talk about yourself, or you don't think that people will understand it, or you don't think it's something that you ought to be talking about, then ask yourself why. Because there's none of the guys that you lost will come back. If they could talk to you from heaven, they're not going to whisper in your ear, hey, Rich, I want you to feel guilty for being here. Okay. Like they're not going to tell you that. And they're going to tell you to go live life, man. Go love somebody fully. Go raise your kids to be leaders. Go be the kind of person that this country needs. Like that's what they're going to tell you. And you have something as a veteran that no one else has. And it's that absolute understanding of what it really means to stand shoulder to shoulder and count on somebody and then trust them. You have that.
You trust them with your life and they trust you with theirs. And that's something you can never take away. And it's something that's ingrained in all of our heads from day one. And
absolutely.
And unless we tell people that, they're never going to know. So that's a great point. And one of my co-hosts from Tuesday night, Jake, he's an EOD veteran. He has two questions for you. He remembers Colonel, then Captain Steele, getting a bit of bad press after the book and movie. Did he deserve that, or did the book and movie not get it quite right?
Yeah, I just saw Mike yesterday. He was most of the problem with Mike Steele was that he was a Georgia Bulldog. That was most of the problem right there. And he played for Vince Dooley. So we called him Coach. If you've ever served around him, you ever knew him, that guy's a solid man, solid face, always meant well, but he rubbed people. I mean, he was gruff. And they butted heads. The way that, he was very Ranger focused, and this is the way we do things. And Delta is a little more free flowing. And what he was worried about was that our guys, and I had a conversation with him. I remember having this conversation in Mogadishu. He came up to me one day and he goes, "Hey, Sergeant Thomas, what do you think about the training with the guys?" Because they gave us some blocks of instruction on room clearing and some detonation stuff. And I'm like, I thought it was really great. It's a little bit more fluid than the way that we do it. It's a little more rigid with us. And he goes, "We understand why we have to be rigid." And I'm like, "Well, why is that?" And he goes, "We have privates and we have to, we do this cyclical training." And I looked right at him. I go, I think that I get that part of it, sir, if we go back to regiment. But I think when we're here, I don't think these guys are privates anymore. I think these guys have really, they're far beyond that, and they're much more capable than I think we're giving them credit for. And so, yes, he got bad press, and I can speak with authority on this one because I was right there. The moment that the bad press that came from in the battle was Lieutenant Lechner got hit in the leg, and he was outside. Captain Steele was already rolling for cover because it was a machine gun burst. Lechner starts screaming. I hear Lechner screaming. I'm just across the alleyway. I run across the alleyway, and I'm getting there right as the medic is pulling Lechner in. What somebody saw was Mike Steele rolling away, the medic coming out and pulling Lechner out of the line of fire. And so there was this very unfair accusation of almost like they start almost through the word cowardice. Like you ran, and I'm like, that wasn't it at all. And that's not a fair thing to say. And it was, that was somebody looking from who wasn't in that moment. And because they butted heads, I think that's why he got some bad press. But he pissed people off. I know when he went to Iraq, he pissed people off. He was a head, but that guy is a solid dude. And whether you like him or you don't like him, he made some great leadership decisions, and I saw him make some really bad leadership decisions. Like there was one of the stories. One of my heroes of that battle is a good friend of mine, Tom DiDamaso. And Dito was in chalk. Go back to my picture here. So Dito was in chalk 2. He came in right here. When chalk 4 inserted a block too high, Dito sent half of it. He was supposed to go link up with him. So he's up here like that. It just so happens when the bird gets shot down, and 6-4's going, or 6-1's going down, it crashes over here. Dito is on the street.
Wow.
He's on the same street that the bird goes down. So he sees it happening and he makes a leadership decision. And Steele, who's in this young captain mode, trying to figure out, like, he's just trying to get command and control of a chaotic situation that's starting to spin out of control. And he goes, stay where you're at. Hang on. And Tom was like, there's no way I can stay where I can see the bird hit the ground. And he saw the bad guys all running for it. So he leaves half of his guys to link up with Matt Eversman, and then he runs with the other group to the crash. And I'm telling you, if Tom hadn't gotten there when he did, that crew would not have survived. Like, because he said he turned the corner and they were already, one of the crew guys, because they're all discombobulated from the crash. And the one crew guy's standing out in front of it and they're beating them with sticks and rocks, and the guys with weapons are coming from the north. And they ended up awarding Tom the Silver Star. And Mike Steele fired him when they got back to Fort Benning for not doing what I told you to do. It was a terrible leadership decision. But at the same time, I think, Mike, I don't harbor anything. I will tell you, if the issue is, if the bad press was that he ran from the fight, I will tell you that's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true.
And his second comment was about his old first sergeant was an EOD guy on the mission with Delta, and said getting out of there was a shit show.
Like on the run out or the.
I think he's talking about the run out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there was no real content. I mean, you're in plan E.
Z.
Yeah. It's like it was quite chaotic, and it was, but we all made it.
Yeah.
And we all figured it out how to make it happen with Delta guys spread. Like, I had an E7 from Delta come to me, and I was an E5. I had taken over from my squad leader who had gotten shot. And he comes to me, he goes, and it's funny because he goes, hey, Kenny, I'm going to link in with you guys. Is that all right? I'm like, sure. It was like, so we're all kind of in our own little groups and just running down the road, nothing was going the way it was supposed to go. We were supposed to follow the vehicles, but nobody told the drivers that you had 30 guys running behind the vehicles. So as soon as the vehicles start getting hammered, when the sun came up, the vehicles took off. And you're like, what the? And so, yeah, it was a shit show, but we made it out. We do the basics well all the time. And the only place, and I've been asked this a couple of times, the only place I ever get asked, or sorry, when they say, well, were you ever scared? And I go, yes, there was one moment, and it was on the run. We had turned the corner and I could see the soccer stadium. We're 500 meters from the soccer stadium, and this Malaysian APC pulls up, and they're like, everybody get in. We all jump in this thing. And for the first time in that entire battle, I was helpless. Yeah. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't move. I couldn't communicate. And then the Malaysian driver stops. And you can hear the ping, 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 ping. And everybody's like piled on each other. One of the Delta guys is yelling because he can't breathe because people are sitting on him. My platoon sergeant, he's very sarcastic at this moment. This is great. Freaking RPG is going to come right through this thing. And I'm like, I start yelling at the driver. And then I yell at DeJesus. I'm like, DeJesus, tell him to get this thing moving. DeJesus looks at me and goes, I speak Spanish, Sergeant, not Malaysian. I'm like, you make it happen. And that was the one point where I felt it got the best of me, because I thought we had made it and I let my guard down, and all of a sudden now I'm in someone else's destiny, like my destiny is in someone else's hands who doesn't even speak English. Like I was like, yeah. So I was very happy to jump out of that thing like 3 minutes later,
And you said this earlier, you were happy not to be in the convoy that was going up because they were just bullet magnets. Now you're stacked in a vehicle that's a bullet magnet and with zero control.
Yeah, those guys, they got hammered. And if we got any 10th Mountain Boys from Alpha Company, I want you to know, we want you to know, like, history may not have always mentioned you guys in the battle, but we wouldn't have been able to get our wounded people out without you. Like, and there were just we had too many wounded, and they were combat engineers, y'all. Like, they had 5-ton trucks. There were no MRAPs. There were no there weren't even armored Humvees for them. Like, they weren't stormtroopers. They weren't door kickers. But all those dudes kept coming. And when they finally got to us, there's no way we would have been able to get all of our wounded out without them.
Definitely. And our friend Eric has jumped in here. He wants to know if we can get you to sing a song before you leave.
Yeah, I'll gladly pass along some music to you, but we tried it. It just doesn't translate. If you're in Fort, you know what? If you're at Fort, thank you for reminding me, Eric. If you're at Fort Benning, I'm playing on the 4th of July. So next week I'll be right back there at the Infantry Museum. They're doing a big show down there with the fireworks and everything, and we're playing. So I'm stoked. I get to go back to Columbus and play some music.
There you go. You can go right down to Columbus and see them there on the 4th of July for the 250th anniversary of our country, our birthday. So
yeah.
That'd be a great show. Hopefully a lot of people will show up for that. It's probably MWR thing, so there should be a lot of people there hanging out, maybe a carnival. There was another question here. I can't find. There it is. Okay. What do you wish Hollywood got right, or what did they miss about the human side of the Battle of Mogadishu?
It's a good question. It's similar to the one that you always get, was the movie like the real thing. And I've only seen the movie 3 times. I saw it when it was released. They let all of us come to a premiere for the movie. And then I watched it one time. I went on a handshake tour over to Iraq, and one of the units wanted to watch it that night, and we sat there and watched it. And then I watched it with my kids so they could see it. They got the attention to detail really, really great. But it doesn't look like Mogadishu. It doesn't smell like Mogadishu. The bad guys in the movie were the Gold's Gems version of, the people we were fighting. But here's what I always tell about that story that I thought that they did get right. What Ridley Scott, because we got a chance to talk to Ridley Scott. Nice. And somebody asked him, like, hey, how did you block that? Like, how did you figure out how you were going to shoot the camera? And he goes, well, I had a plan. But it all changed. I was shooting the scene where the little bird lands at the first crash. And the pilot that's flying the little bird in the movie, I asked him, I said, well, what are you going to do? He says, well, I think what I'll do is I'll run over, I'll pull the wounded guy and throw him on my lap, and then we'll take off. And he goes, well, is that what the guy would have done? He goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he would have done. And he flies away, and the military advisor starts laughing, and he goes, that's Carl Meyer, right? And he's like, no, yeah, Carl, nice guy. He goes, no, Carl was the guy.
He was the guy.
So
you do that?
So it changed the way that he said, wait a minute, how many of y'all were in this battle? And like 15 people raised their hand. And there were a handful of Rangers that sort of infiltrated the set. Like they found their way to Morocco and got on set. But what the Army did right, which if you can imagine that, like somebody made it a great decision, like, hey, they're going to make this movie and we are going to send the 160th over there. Like they have a deployment package. We're going to send this bullet over there to of the 160th. And the 160th said, we don't want to do it. Like, yeah, but you're going to do it. So then the 160th gets over there and the stunt guys wouldn't fly with them. So they call a platoon of Rangers comes over there. Now you got Rangers and the 160th in Morocco, and the king of the Moroccan government's like, what's going on? Are y'all doing like operations in it? So so the attention to detail was done pretty well. Like we were all worried. We were thinking it was going to be like a Rambo movie, right? But they did a good job of putting character, because how do you put all of us who look exactly the same in a uniform? How do you differentiate that on screen? I thought they did a good job. Now, where they went off script, they moved all the names around. So they're like, Matt Eversman was never at the crash. Matt got on the vehicles with the wound when Blackburn got wounded. And then like Di Damaso was like a minor character, just a name in the movie. And so they moved all the names around. And then there were a couple things that were like, there was one scene, I think, where Eric Bana ran out and choked out some guy that was on a back of a gun. And I'm like, why would you just shoot him? Like, there's zero reason to run over there and choke him. That was kind of Hollywood. But otherwise, I thought it brought immediate attention to a battle that no one knew about, other than the handful of people who had read Mark Bowden's, newspaper articles or his book. It was still just sort of a thing that was it had once happened. It wasn't maybe made the highlight reel for what happened in the 90s, right? Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan retiring from basketball made a bigger headline than that did. So it brought attention to, and then all of a sudden you're like, and I had just gotten out. So I was like right around 2004 when people started hearing about it. And I was in Nashville. And so I started getting asked for interviews. And if you go back and look at how I did those early interviews, like it was Jeff Struker. Jeff's a pastor now. Jeff became he was in that battle. And Jeff had his come to Jesus, and he became a chaplain and went back into the Ranger Regiment. And Jeff called me up. He saw me, and he gave me like some hard love. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I saw you on the interview. What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's, "You didn't say anything about us." I'm like, "I know," and some of y'all can relate to this because I was there. And I said, "I know, Jeff. I don't want to." I'm supposed to be a quiet professional. I don't really want to brag about it. I want to talk about, and it's like, I just want to stay in my lane, man. I want to come up here and write songs. I don't want to be, Kenny the singing Ranger. And he's like, "Shut up. If you don't tell our story, who's going to tell our story?" He goes, "Man, you can do more with the microphone than I can do with a year's worth of sermons. You better figure out what you're going to say, and you better figure it out fast." And it took me a minute, but what did I figure out I was going to tell people? Okay, set the example, take care of one another, but when we really need you to do that, and I think that's what this whole story earns the right to say, is when it gets hard. That's when we need, and most of America punches out when it gets hard. I'm not comfortable with this, and they step back, and it drives me nuts. Like, yes, Jeff is a great guy. Solid dude. He needs air conditioning in his upstairs house. I just want you to know that. I stayed in his house last night. he comes. I woke up this morning. He goes, "Hey man, you want some coffee?" I'm like, "Yeah, can I have some coffee?" And right before I could even say it, he goes, I'm looking at the thermostat. I realized that it was automatically set to 81. I'm so sorry."
Good Lord.
Dude.
Wow. Hey, thanks, brother.
I was like, I'm back in Georgia. I was like laying on the sheets like this. Holy cow, I'm sweating. Jeff and I, we have talked. When we get a chance to sit and talk like we did last night, I'm so proud of that guy because he's not ever lost his edge. He's not lost the Ranger mentality, the warrior mindset, but he is on fire for Jesus. And he's such a fundamentally character-driven guy that when he speaks, I watched it yesterday, Rich, like 4-star generals, and they're like when Jeff talks, like they respect what he has to say. And these are really good dudes, like that listen to what he has to say. So I'm really proud of Jeff and his work. He's got can I brag about him for a sec? He's got a series, and I'll send it to you. You can post it up there. Okay. He's got a new series that he's doing. And it's a 6-part thing, and it's about he said one of the big questions he always gets asked as a warrior and in as many battles as he's fought in is like, well, how do you call yourself a Christian if you've killed that many people? And he goes, because I've at least been 3,000 times. So he did this whole 6-part series where he's talking with an audience of us and kind of unpacking that. Like, what does it mean to, like, from biblical times, like the greatest warriors can still be men of character and still be men of faith. Like, you don't let that stop you. And most of the world just doesn't quite understand. And he unpacks that whole thing, and it's pretty excellent. He does a better job at it. That's like, it's not my, I will work on that. I want to be a better, sounding board for people when they come to me about their faith. Cause I'm starting to realize that because I wrote a book and because I told some biblical stories, they come to you. So, okay, now you got to own it. And now I've got to get a little bit more knowledgeable so that I can, I don't have the answers, but I know where they lie. Here you go. I can send you there. But like Jeff's got it so down. He can spit it out to you. So yeah, I'm proud of him.
He'd be another one great to send this way too, and have him share the story. That'd be awesome.
For sure.
And we talked about Hollywood just now, and then you were in Hollywood on Sweet Home Alabama. So
heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Dude, that's called royalty check. It's still coming.
Very good. That's probably from me watching it the other day. Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody put it on repeat, and they keep sending us. Yeah, Heidi always goes, Reese Witherspoon sent you another check today. I'm like, woo! Yeah. That movie was a blast. Like, and who knew it was going to be such a hit? It was so much fun to do, and it was one of those things we like I always tell people, especially in the music world, you'll go in and like, well, where was your big break? Like, you don't get. There's never really one big break. It's a lot of doors open, and then here's the key: is when the door opens, don't suck. Because there's people like Roosevelt who have much more grander ways of saying the same thing. It's like, what a shame when your moment comes and you aren't ready. Yep. All you do is make a fool of yourself. Don't suck. And then the next door opens, and the next door opens, and the next door opens, and that's kind of how it went down. The girl, my girlfriend at the time, she was in the band. She was working on the movie set. All the friends from the movie set were going to go out that night. They all went out. We were playing in Atlanta. The director happened to be in town that night. He came out with everybody. Yeah, you guys are really good. And I didn't know who he was. I'm like, yeah, we are. And he's like, man, we should put you in the movie. I said, you should put us in the movie. In fact, I don't know why you don't have us in the movie yet. This is ridiculous. And we had a fun night. And then the next thing I get a call from Disney. Hey, would you be interested in tracking some songs for the movie? And we ended up tracking 4 songs for the movie plus one of ours. And then when we went and did the movie set, that whole carnival scene, they did it it was a real carnival. We just played all day. Wow. I didn't know when they were filming us. It was great, man. The whole thing was just a blast. And the fact that that they used my voice and I got to sing, you counted as an actor in the movie. So you get royalty. It's great, man. I love it.
IMDb, baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that kind of opened the door. Like you had something to talk about. And then, so we started getting some regional radio play because of it. And then the Nashville started happening at the same time both of the things happened at the same time, Rich. So I got a call from the Speakers Bureau, the guy who owned it, and him and Ollie North had started the Speakers Bureau. And he goes, Kenny, my name is Dwayne Ward. Ollie North, Colonel North and I, do you know who he is? I'm like, I do know who he is. Because we're both sitting here and we just watched your interview. We would love to meet with you about speaking. Have you ever done that? I'm like, no, I haven't. Does it pay anything? And he was like, well, I'm sure we could get you something. He goes, but we feel like we could get you some speaking events if you'd like to meet with us this weekend. And I go, no, I can't. I'm driving up to Nashville. I'm going to meet with an attorney up there we just had this movie. And he goes, oh, well, perfect. I live in Nashville. We'll see you there.
Nice.
And that's kind of where it all, God opened the door, and then I didn't suck. Right. Yeah. So it was, there's a group I'm starting to work with now that is they're going to start trying to help veterans who are transitioning into the music business specifically. not just as artists, but like writers, producers, musicians, engineers, marketing people, whatever it is that they want to go in there and do. Like, hey, what do you need to know that no one's told you yet? You know, so it's really fun. Like, and there's a lot of good dudes there in Nashville that you didn't know served in uniform.
Right. And a lot of them don't advertise. So, but there's a lot that help a lot of veterans down there. I think songwriting class down there, the songs for veterans.
Yep. Operation
Song.
There's a lot of them down there. Yeah. There's a lot of them. Zach Brown has he does a camp, and it was mainly for kids. It's outside of Atlanta, and it's mainly for kids but in the off time when the kids aren't there at the camp, he's helping veterans. And Zach doesn't run around. He did a couple USO tours, like the Joint Chiefs tour, and he got enamored with it. And really, he had some friends that had joined, and Zach got pretty serious about helping out veterans. He's a good dude too.
I know I went to his concert in between my last 2 tours to Afghanistan. The way he just honors us on stage, and he just celebrates us, celebrates our do. It's amazing. The feeling that comes out of that. It's not phony like a lot of things feel phony. That one was not. It was
great. Agreed.
Yeah. Eric just said Camp Southern Grounds. There it is.
There it is. Camp Southern Ground. Thank you. Yep. Great facility. Well, buddy, what else you got for me? We're gonna
last 2 questions. We'll wrap her up here. First, if anyone in the audience wants to chat with you like we did tonight, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Without a doubt, RLTW, Rangers Lead the Way, at KeniThomas.com. Claire will field that one. But make sure you say, hey, man, I heard you on MisFitNation. I got a question. Or if it's something like, hey, if you're ever in St. Louis, I want to buy you a beer. Like, I'll say, man, thanks so much. And it'll never happen because I'm always my schedule is freaking rock star right now. It's like we're in, we're out, and I'm always trying to get home for the kids. Like that's why I fly a plane. That's why I'm a pilot, is so that I could go get to do what I do and then turn and be home and still be a little league coach.
Nice.
Yeah.
Still wear those years.
Yep. Well, I listened to all my friends, because I started late. All my friends told me, man, it goes by so fast. Don't miss it. And I'm in a position now where I don't have a job. Like I call my own schedule. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to be there for them. And it's part of my intentionality. Like my dad didn't get to do that. We missed out, and I know that. Like, and he's come to some of the little league games, and
nice.
I watched him on the sideline, and he goes, I'm so proud. I'm so happy that you get to do this, because you and I missed out on this one. I said, yeah, we did, Dad. It sucks. We didn't ever have that thing, but my son at least he's transitioning into, he wants to be an F1 car driver, Rich. So if you know anybody in that world,
good luck.
I'm like, yeah, bud. I said, I go, Jet, just to put it in perspective for you, you can do it if you want to, and we can try for it. But just to put it in perspective, there are more quarterbacks in the NFL than there are drivers of F1 cars. Just so you know, like how hard that is to get there, right?
Getting to NASCAR, there's a lot more levels.
Well, there you go. Let me introduce you to IndyCar. They look the same. These guys speak English.
There you go.
They're really nice to you. And it's right here. It's like an hour away. Like
we can all come see it.
That's right.
And no one's speaking with peanut butter in their mouth. It's great.
Yeah, that's right.
And our last question, Kenny. This one's the hard one. What's 3 things the MisFit Nation, our audience, can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
You can, beautiful. And can I help you with that? I'm going to send you. How do I get? Can you post? I've got an app that I have. It's basically, I created I took the Army manual and took the be, do, and know thing, and then we made our own little. Based on what you pick are the ones that are important to you now. But what I would tell you is pick the 2 things you're going to work on and be absolutely intentional about them. because your habits reveal who you are. And what we did when we were in the uniform was we were highly disciplined. It may not have seemed that way, but we got up every morning and we took care of our bodies, and then we took care of each other. And then we were mission focused. And then we veered away from some of that. So you have to get intentional about set a target. You can't hit a target if you don't put it out there. This is what I want to be this year. This is who I'm going to work on. This is what I want to do. I'm going to be a leader that others want to follow. How do I do that? And then post it. Yeah. You know, if your unit has a creed, go back and say it, or say the Army creed. I still recite the Ranger Creed every day when I'm running, because it's so character driven and value and principled, and you cannot go wrong with that, but you have to be intentional about it. So, and get that discipline back, because the discipline in doing the reps creates the competency, and then the competency, starts changing habits. And so if you're not happy with what the story is, and then you got to rewrite it, but that takes some discipline. It's an easy thing to say how to do it. Then that would be number one. Be very intentional about define who you want to be this year. And then number two is find somebody that you can mentor now. You'd be amazed how much knowledge you have in the leadership department. Just help. I found a kid. She was heading to the Naval Academy this summer. She's got a soccer scholarship. She's a senior in high school. And I was talking to her mom. She said, yeah, my daughter's. I'm like, oh, what's she going to do? She's going to Naval Academy. Does she know what she wants to do? No. Has she ever flown in airplanes? She doesn't know, but she thinks she might want to be. Please send her to me. And then I just threw myself in that. Find someone you help and mentor. And then the third thing that you can do right now is if you know someone who's still struggling, we're 10 years out of it, Rich. Like it's okay to have the dragon you got to tame from time to time. It's okay. But by now we should have found our groove. And if you have people who are struggling, send them to Rich, send them to me. We know where to direct them, and we know the right teams that are equipped where they can step in. Here's the key. This is the magic phrase, you guys. No veteran, none of them. If I got on here right now and my entire hour with Rich was about, hey, we got these programs. We really want to help you. Let us help you. Okay, let's poor thing with your PTSD. Let us help you. Like, nobody wants that. But if I call you up and say, hey, I got this program out at Camp Southern Ground that we do with these veterans where we're putting them through, we're getting them into shape. We're doing these things. We're doing songwriting. Hey, can you please come help us out? Like we need all hands on deck. I got these kids that I'm working with in New Orleans who are, they're going into this program and they need some veterans to tell them what they learn when they're in the Army. Like, I got this girl. We need your help. That's how you get them in. You know why I sit on like 4 different veteran boards? Because they suckered me in. They all called me, hey, Kenny, we really need your help. But they all knew that I needed the services of their board. Like I sit on Project One Vet, which we help you navigate your VA claims. And it was a buddy of mine from the early part of the 2000s who knew I never filed my claim. He goes, because operators were terrible at it. And our medical packets were like that thick. It was like 10 Halo scuba physicals that said we were in excellent health. And he's like, hey, did you ever do your paper? Nope. He goes, man, I tell you what, we really could use your help. Like, cause you're kind of the guy that we're trying to, and next thing you know, like Kenny's at the VA filling out his paperwork and doing everything. And then I said, on Stronger Families. That was another one. Like how do you hold a relationship down? Because I couldn't do it. And they taught me, they got me on their board, and then I ended up going through the program. Like, get these people, ask them for help. Go to them and say, I got a program, I got this thing. And the minute they get involved and they're part of something, because the reason they're struggling is they have lost their sense of purpose. And before they hit the rail and go off the side of the rail, step in. Hey man, you know what? I could really use your help on this program or this thing or I'm coaching Little League. I need an assistant coach. Oh man, I don't have the time for that. Bullshit. You make the time. I need you. And by helping others, it's the best medicine they got. Get them involved. So those were my 3 things. Define who you want to be very intentional about it, and start working towards it. And we'll help you with that. And then number 2, find somebody to mentor. And then number 3, if you got a veteran that's still struggling, put them in touch with us and we will direct them into the right. We'll just start chatting with them. Yep. And then you can make the introduction. Hey, this is my friend so-and-so. He served at the such and such. And he's in the Baltimore area. Okay, great. I know a program in Baltimore where they need some veterans to go in and help. So there they are. Those are the 3 things.
Outstanding. Keni, thank you. Thank you again for coming on tonight and taking some time from your family after flying back today to hang out with us on the MisFit Nation and share your story, share your resources, and of course, an awesome leadership lesson to the MisFit Nation tonight.
Absolutely. Rich, what you're doing matters. And I know there's times, because it is not an easy task to put up a high quality podcast, especially and to go live. Like, it's not an easy task. Right. There's a team that's involved. There's a cost that's involved. There's the constant hunting down talent to come on. Like, I get it. But it's important. And it's important to the people who are here. And I do it for every audience I play to. Whether this one we do at the 4th of July is 1,000 people or it's 300 people, I will always treat like, all right, those are the people that are supposed to be here right now. So you're reaching people, we're reaching people, and what you're doing is a good thing. So I'm always here to be a part of it.
Outstanding. Thank you, Keni. And
yeah,
we say here, reach one, teach one, and that's what we do. And that's the best thing to do. So stay on the line. After the outro, I'll give you some information for your show coming up. MisFit Nation, thank you for hanging out tonight. Make sure you do the right things. Do everything Keni just said. Reach out if you need help. Don't go it alone. And don't make a permanent decision to a temporary problem. Until next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the MisFit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great MisFit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are MisFit Nation. MisFit Nation.